They're always lying. Always. Colonizers, racists, people, they always lie. Please look at my Telegram. There's a lot going on there. I just updated it. Kind of be able to go to sleep. Just a lot of shit going on. So please go inform yourself with independent journalists right now, because they're counting so much that you don't see what you need to see. 3,000 violations. What's ceasefire? The one good thing that happened, this was a long time due that this shit happened, but obviously these demons, fucking racist pedophiles, are freaking out because how dare you to call us rapists and pedophiles when they are. So yeah, they're in the same as takes a substantial amount of evidence of systemic vice risk, sexual violence in Union Secretary General to add government entity on this blacklist. Virginia has been avoiding calls to add Israel to this UN blacklist for years, despite an abundance of cases, which there's plenty on my Telegram and if you press the pin. So the fact he accepted to add it now speaks volumes about the amount of sexual violence cases in the UN as documented. By the way, this is after it happened, like almost 12, 15 submitted activists who just went, try to break the siege in Gaza and bring baby formula to kids and got molested and raped and shit like that. Don't stop talking about that shit. They're posting it in their own newspaper, so, and right away they use the same blah libel. That's what they use to, because they are. This society is sick, literally sick. Like, that's exactly what I ask myself every day. What the fuck is wrong with these people? You're not reading, you're reading correctly. Just please read. Because they're expecting all of you not to be educated. They think all of you are dumbasses, like they are. What society allows this to?
המבנה הזה, כאילו, זוכרת אותו בחושך, בלילה.
Another thing, for a lot of my people who are healing from constantly the PTSD and denial and trauma that you have to go through when dealing with racist people. So I'm just validating for a lot of you. Speak up when these people are trying to portray you in a certain way or make you like, all those of you, there's always going to be someone supporting a racist. So expecting a racist to validate you, it's really funny. Like, that literally happened to me yesterday. And I was just like, Angie, what do you expect? It's like, and I'm laughing hysterically, but at the same time, it was kind of like violent, this energy. And then having someone like just supporting and validating that other racist person, like their actions and behavior. Like, oh, it's in your head. Like, it's not about you. Stop thinking that it's about you. It has nothing to do with you. When it is, and you know it is. And the fact that another racist tells you that gives you the confirmation. And also that too is like, these people are the low of the low cockroaches. And a lot of you having that education and that confidence and knowledge that I hope that I'm providing and sharing with all of you, but that's just me. It's just like a whole community. That's why support all the content creators, all the people, the independent journalists that are in this, in Telegram and IG broadcasts. Like, I'm constantly sharing, so all of you continue boosting the algorithm and continue, because these other stuff, you're not going to find it in the media. People are not going to be educated by this. And this is something why it's so important to continue doing this work. Like, media literacy is so important to continuously do decolonization, anti-racism work. It's like literally the truth is their kryptonite, not just for Zionists, not just for racist people, like everything, because this system is inherently violent. It's inherently narcissistic, sadist, and fucking corrupt and fucking pathological liars. So How do you defeat narcissists, pathological liars, racists, and stuff like that? By exposing them, by sharing the education, by educating others, by standing up for yourself, by speaking up to the oppressed, speaking up about others. Don't forget that. Anyways, just giving you guys some confirmation and validation. I love you. Don't let this energy, whatever sucking energy, don't listen to the bots or anything. Just, when someone is supporting weird ass energy because it benefits them, and they will never be affected by it. This is why like the racist victim mentality is so weird to me. Like, it's just like, and they need it. They need to act like victims, like they're being attacked or something. But it's like, nobody's attacking you. We're just holding you accountable and saying, can stop supporting and validating all the racist people, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of you, I'm just giving you some heads up. Don't expect people who have shown you multiple times with their action, their behavior, that they're racist. Expect them that they're going to like validate you and support you, especially if you're someone of color, especially if your energy irritates their demon, especially if you're obviously better than them, obviously better human and more values and integrity, and especially if they're already supporting genocide and they're okay with that, especially if they're Zionists, they're letting you know that they are. But eventually, when all the system and all this shit crumbles, they're gonna come crawling to you and wishing, and that too, let the things happen, because a lot of you, they are doing this unconsciously and they're not taking into consideration that people are watching them. People are learning and seeing in their actions. And at the end of the day, when people grow tired of their BS and say, you know what, I don't want to be associated with someone like you, whatever you are, if you're a friend, father, mother, relative, it doesn't matter. Your actions is going to make people repulsed to be around you. It's going to make people create boundaries and block you and ghost you and keep their fucking distance, because you're not safe to be around. And you're making it clear. So let them do what they do. Just ignore, continue healing. For a lot of us, it's constant healing from this. But know that there is an end to all of this, and there will be. And it starts with you. I love you. I hope this helped. See you next time.
Here are the 6 chocolate brands that are starting to use lab-grown cocoa. Number 1, Cadbury invested $4.6 million into a lab-grown cocoa company. Number 2, Kit Kat invested $44 million into a lab-grown cocoa company. Number 3, Lindt invested $5.6 million into a lab-grown cocoa company. Number 4, Kinder invested $15 million into a lab-grown cocoa company. Number 5, Snickers has a budget of $2 billion to invest into lab-grown chocolate. And finally, number 6, M&M's has a budget of $1.4 billion to invest into lab-grown cocoa startups. Make sure to read the ingredients and avoid terms like chocolate flavoring or cocoa compounds.
So multimillionaire 𓂆𝅊𝑃colonizers wants to build the world's largest data center on indigenous land without their consent. The project is proposed to go through Treaty 8 territory around Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation. Chief Sheldon Sunshine of Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation didn't even know the project's details until it was publicly announced. The project is called Wonder Valley, and it's estimated to cost over $70 billion and be the largest AI data center in the world, with over like 58 buildings. And who lives near these data centers? Indigenous people. So how do these tech billionaires and millionaires get away with this? Because the Canadian government makes it super easy for them, because they only have the duty to consult, which means they don't actually have to achieve consent with Indigenous people. They just have to go through the consultation methods where appropriate. Canada tells the world it believes in reconciliation and Indigenous rights, but that's all out the door when there's billions of dollars on the table. This AI colonization is just the next chapter in the same old story.
China has data centers in the ocean that are powered by offshore wind. So why are we building these huge structures that are literally poisoning our communities? That's because China is living in 2050 and we're living in the 18th century.
In other news, I just found out that the Self-Aware song, the God You Look So Pretty, that song that's been trending on TikTok, I just found out that it was created by an Israeli artist. And as someone that fundamentally believes in like academic boycott, cultural boycott of Israel, I'm like disgusted. I listened to that song. I downloaded that song like from TikTok. And like that has inadvertently contributed to like cultural normalization of Israel. And if you don't think it's that deep, it is that deep. Soft power in the British context, the soft power that we used to have in 2010 through like musical artists, like transformed Britain on the national stage. If you don't think having like songs or actors, like why do you think Israel cares so much about Eurovision, about being seen as like integrated in the global community when they're so isolated right now anyway? I think it's an incredibly clever, deceitful, despicable tactic to pay influencers to promote songs that aren't explicitly pro-Israel but are from Israeli artists, because it does fundamentally contribute to the normalization of an apartheid state. And I'm pissed off that I fell for it. I'm pissed off that I didn't fact check. I'm pissed off that I didn't look into it more when I downloaded the song. And it just demonstrates one of the ways that social media can be utilized politically, and you don't even think about it. Like, you don't even think about it.
Hey, really quick, I'm just curious, what was the video before this about? Tell me really fast. This one might be different than that one, but stay because it's really important. My name is Elle, and for the last 2 years, I have been advocating for families in Gaza. And for the last few months, I have been seeing this narrative popping its head in and out of my algorithm, and it goes like this. There's basically no people left in Gaza. All the journalists are gone. All the people are basically gone. It's really important to talk about this for multiple reasons, but I want to put at the forefront that when I hear there's basically no people left in Gaza, what I also hear is Zionists who say constantly, every single day, a land without a people for a people without a land. So we have to make sure that we are not feeding that monster. And listen, I get it. I'm an American. I understand that the Western media is heavily manipulated, and I also understand that that's on purpose. I understand that the occupations, meaning the United States and Israel, have always tried to control the narrative and the optics. They have always tried to cover their war crimes. So it's not surprising that it can be increasingly more difficult to find that information, which means that we have to intentionally look for it. And I also understand that it can be overwhelming because this applies to multiple things, right? The news here at home and things going on internationally as well. So something that I do is intentionally set time during my day to seek out the news. And I'll put up on the screen here some of the Telegram channels that I look for every day. And I know that we focus a lot on numbers and statistics, but I need us to hold two things at once here. This is a genocide, a Holocaust, and it's ongoing. They want you to believe that it's over. And at the same time, there are still roughly 2 million people in Gaza who are on the brink of being forcibly starved again. And there are many, many families who have been showing us what is being done to them every single day, day to day. They understand that they're being suppressed. They understand also that not as many people are seeking out their videos anymore. And there's also many families who are relying day to day on Chopped campaigns, GoFundMe campaigns to survive. That's the only way for many families that they have any money coming in at all. That's how they've been purchasing food, water, diapers, formula. Please keep in mind that families are paying for what's available in the market. It's not being distributed to them for free as aid 99% of the time. The prices in the markets are astronomical and they shift day to day. They're constantly going up and down. So today I'd like to introduce you to some friends of mine. This is my best friend and sister, Shireen, and her 5 children. Shireen works every single day to provide for her family and also to teach them. They have not had any access to education for years now. Their schools were completely destroyed. Their home was also completely destroyed. So their family is paying $600 a month in rent right now. They rely fully on the gifts that we send to their Chopped campaign. This is my friend Mohammed, who is a journalist, who is a dear friend, brother, and uncle. He works hard every single day to provide for his family of 13. Abdullah is a nurse who works 24-hour shifts to provide the best care possible to his patients. Although he does receive a small salary, it is not enough to provide for his wife and his 2 small children. This is my dear friend Mohammed, who has been a journalist for over 15 years and is still on the ground every day, risking his life to show the world the truth, to tell the world what is actually being done to the people of Gaza and to him. He is actively running towards the danger every single day to document it, the bombings, the massacres, and then going home to, again, provide for his wife and his 3 children, the youngest being under a year old. And although he's working, the prices, again, are astronomical. Diapers, formula, it's sometimes completely unattainable. I know that was a lot to hear at once, but even if you can't send a gift to any of the families here today, that's okay. We understand. What you can do that would really, really help is to engage, and not only just with the videos, but with their campaigns, to actually go to them, copy the link, and share that directly with someone that you know, with a friend or a family member. Anyway, was this video different than the last one? Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. We'll talk soon.
The reason why governments around the world are so hyper-fixated on people having babies is because their populations are in decline, and those populations in decline mean that the billionaires have less employees, and they are making less money because there's less consumers, less employees, and there's less people to take advantage of. Let's look at the graphs. Let's start with the United States of America, shall we? You see how this is smaller than this? That's gonna be a problem. Guess who's paying for the pension? These people. Guess who's getting the pension? Oh, these people. But there's more people here than here. So then how is that going to work? How is that going to work? Japan. Oh, would you look at that? Would you look at that? We have this to this. Yikes. Oh, Canada. We're all so screwed. You see this right here and you see this right here? It's not looking good, Brev. But I'm from Europe. But you're still cooked. But you're still cooked, but you're from Europe. Now we're here at the millennial gen, who is trying to do what their parents and grandparents did, work their 9 to 5, buy a house, have kids, go on their little vacation, but guess what? They can't afford it because the capitalist structure keeps making it absolutely impossible to live. Rent, up. Groceries, up. Gas, up. What do you mean you want us, Gen Zs, to have 3 kids? Out of whose paycheck? People working 2-3 jobs just to live on their own, let alone have 2 kids. So I just find it curious that billionaires and millionaires are supporting policies like the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Now, why would Jeff Bezos need women to have unwanted pregnancies to term and then have children be put into the federal system? Is it because perhaps they need workers in order to make money, and a declining population means that they're going to have less workers, which means they're going to have less profit and less consumers? Oh, that makes a lot more sense. So see, friends, everything is about economics and politics at the end of the day. It's not about spirituality. It's not about ethics. It's about bottom lines. And that's what the capitalist structure can always guarantee you, is that the top 1% will consistently look out for their best interests. You might be thinking, oh, but they swore on the Bible. They don't care about the Bible. They care about getting bodies into their warehouses so they can make money. And on top of that, they're not going to give you a bathroom break. Not in this economy. So to all my fellow Gen Zs, please keep this in mind before you have kids. If you want to have children, you need to come to the conclusion that you can A, afford to have kids, B, your kids aren't being raised on an iPad. Because I have some concerns about kids' brains being trained to process algorithms and to be trained like robots, especially in a time where AI is becoming more prevalent and governments are having access to AI programs that are going to be very prevalent. And if your child's brain is being trained to follow instructions like a robot and the government has access to AI, I wonder what could happen there. But everything is just an alleged theory, because I can't prove any of this. But take with it what you will.
New York Times just dropped the single most powerful bit of journalism that's been done on the IDF to expose what they're actually about. The New York Times reporter starts interviewing people and learns that 50% of the kid prisoners admit to being exposed to violent sexual assault by the IDF soldiers. But that is the tip of the sexual abuse iceberg that is much worse than I ever imagined. Many of the adult prisoners are admitting to being raped with batons 3 times a day by gangs of IDF soldiers. People report not even knowing if they were raped because they get stripped naked so many times a day and beaten until they pass out, and then they wake up so sore everywhere they don't know what happened to them, but the nudity is a part of the routine abuse. Worst of all, maybe, is that the IDF dogs are being trained to rape prisoners, so they get them naked and force the dogs on the prisoners. Kids and adults alike. This is documented, this is photographed, this is reported, and the IDF threatens people that if they come out and talk about it, they will kill any remaining family members that are in prison. The IDF is not a normal army, it is an army of rapists and pedophiles. So many people have gotten out of trials from being pedophiles by moving to Israel, joining the IDF, and getting to do whatever they want to people as long as they're Palestinian. It is not an exception. It is the rule. They're raping the prisoners. And it's our tax dollars that are paying for it. And this article has brought a lot of light into that situation. It is the most harrowing article I've ever read personally. If you still support Israel, like, how fucking stupid do you have to be to still support Israel?
Every month, you pay your taxes. Some goes to schools, some to hospitals, and some are bombing Gaza and West Asia. So you give money to your government. Your government signs contracts with arms manufacturers. Those manufacturers make parts of weapons, parts that are assembled in factories across England, Germany, the United States, France, Italy. Dozens of them are, for example, building one single plane, the F-35. Israel has 75 of them, and every bomb that plane drops on Gaza is traced back to those factories, to those contracts, to your money, and it works both ways. What Israel tests on Palestinians, drones, facial recognition, control systems, our governments buy back for our borders, for our police, to watch our streets. The money leaves from here, the technology comes back. And in between, Palestine serves as the laboratory. All of this is signed while talking about peace. By Trump, by Macron, by von der Leyen, by al-Sisi, right here at home. And it's right here at home that people are struggling to make that stop. This has all been mapped. Either to identify the factories or the movement, you can find your own way to join global resistance. The global intifada. You too are a link. From land to shore, from shore to sea, this chain is global. So must be our resistance.
Have you ever heard the word memoricide? Earlier this year, a former US Secretary of State stood in front of a pro-Israel audience and said this.
It's not that we don't forget. We need to make sure that the story is told properly so that when the history books write this, they don't write about the victims of Gaza, right? They can't.
His name is Mike Pompeo. The venue was the Miriam Institute, and he wasn't speaking off script. He was telling you the plan. Memoricide, the murder of memory. Not the killing of people, but killing the record that they ever existed. The erasing of their names, their villages, their archives, their dead. Israeli historian 𝂀ITS uses this word for what's been done to the Palestinians since 1948. Not as a metaphor, as a method. Let's look at the pattern. 1948, over 500 Palestinian villages destroyed, bulldozed, planted over with pine forests, so you'd never know a village was underneath. The names were changed. Arabic place names were rewritten on Hebrew maps. A village called Lubia became a park named Lavi. That's memoricide. Fast forward to 2023. Israeli forces entered the central archives of Gaza. 150 years of land deeds, birth certificates, family trees, court records burned. The Great Omari Mosque, built in the 7th century, destroyed. Al-Isra University, demolished with explosives. On video, after being used as a military base. Every university in Gaza damaged or destroyed. Every one. And you can't kill a people's future faster than by burning their past. That's memoricide. And now, Hollywood. In the last couple of years, one day in October on HBO Max, The Children of October 7th on Paramount, Red Alert, The Road Between Us, Bearing Witness, screened privately for studio executives to shape what they greenlight. 5 major productions about one day. Meanwhile, the voice of Hind Rajab, about a 6-year-old Palestinian girl who was shot 335 times in a car while she was begging a dispatcher to save her, wins at Venice, but 1,500 actors had to sign open letters for it to be seen. This is not an accident. This is the story being told properly. This is what Pompeo was applauded for. So here's what I want you to sit with. In 30 years, when a child opens a textbook to learn about this decade, whose names will be in it? Whose villages will be on the map? Whose stories will be told? The answer is being decided now by what you watch, what you share, what you refuse to forget. So don't let them tell the story properly. Don't let them get away with memoricide.
If white supremacy exists, then why am I poor? Why do I have to struggle to get everything that I want? Why isn't everything handed to me? Well, that's because white supremacy doesn't exist. It's a fallacy given to you by the ultra-wealthy so that you would do their bidding on their behalf and promise that you would be right there with them. The goal has never been white supremacy. The goal was always balkanization. They want to treat everybody like niggas. But to keep them from getting their hands dirty and from having an overwhelming uprising against them, they were like, hey, you know, we gotta rally some of these guys onto our side. Who's the most gullible? So they chose the people who resemble them, and they created this fantastical white world. Oh, you can have 2 kids, a white picket fence, nice house, have a wife, and all you have to do is make sure that everybody below you gets in line. And for the longest time, that's what's been happening. All these walls putting together so that the minorities stay where they're at, not realizing that they are laying the very groundwork for their own subjugation. And every now and then they seed a little bit of motivation in them. Hey, listen, all this is happening because of minorities. You can't get a raise, you got laid off from your job, everything at the store is expensive, all because of minorities. So make sure that they are in their place. But now I guess it's almost complete because all that balkanization that they were setting up is now starting to trickle down into white spaces. A militarized force that was killing people in the street wasn't really that serious when it was black and brown people, but Alex Preddy and Renee Good? Y'all killing white people now? A data center polluting the air and the water in Memphis, not really that serious. A data center polluting the water and the air in Baltimore, not really that serious. A data center up the street from you polluting the air and the water. Wait, that's not. Gentrification seems so cool because it got all these undesirables out and cleaned up the neighborhood. But now, if you resign your lease, it's going to be $629 more, and you're getting priced out just alongside them. And they're going to continue this trend until you stop it, because everything that they're planning on doing to you, they're going to try on black people first because they know you won't care. Remember Adriana Smith, the black woman whose corpse was used as an incubator? Well, it was a black girl, so it's really not that serious, but then it's going to happen to maybe a little Hispanic girl, and maybe a little Asian girl, and eventually you're gonna see a lot of dead white women with babies incubated inside of them. They said that you will own nothing and love it. A lot of people thought, oh, they just mean minorities. They mean everybody who isn't a part of that 1% will be a peasant or a serf. And unfortunately, I feel like we're gonna stay in this situation until a certain group of people decide they have enough and that they rise up against this. Because had Luigi Mangione or even this Paper Mario guy been black or brown, they would have just charged that to the inherently violent nature of minorities. But because they are Caucasian, it's picking up steam. Anyways, if you're out there, don't fall for the ruse of white supremacy. It's all a ploy to make sure that you're complicit in your own enslavement.
You guys gave me a lot of praise for my last 2 reels about the data center boom in Canada, AI data centers. And the thing is, thank you for that, and I dug in deeper. So again, I just want to let you guys know I'm not suicidal. I take notes. If anything, someone come find me if I've gone missing. It's all in here. Brookfield Asset Management, Mark Carney's own investment firm, is the #1 provider for AI infrastructure globally. Like that, they boast about it on their website. Like this is something that they like to go around announcing to people. But what people don't want to understand, Brookfield Asset Management, because they're tied to the Prime Minister, they're not going to start posting their names on all these projects. Brookfield Asset Management has a bunch of subsidiaries, but the main subsidiary that I found that was actually constructing these mega centers and whatnot is a company called Compass Data Centers. Compass Data Centers goes out and completes these contracts, builds these places, and there's, again, more subsidiaries under Brookfield Asset Management where they actually, one provides the Giga Foundation or whatever it is. The other one provides the fiber optics. One provides this, one provides that. So it's like one company operating through all these shell company, and when you see it, Pepsi does it, Coca-Cola does it, Brookfield is doing it, but with AI. Again, let me connect this. It goes in a full circle. So if you go back 2 reels, I talk about old Stelco land in Hamilton that's being proposed as an area to build one of these infrastructures, these AI data centers. And the thing is, Compass Data Centers works directly with big corporations. And I'm not talking about like your mom, like these little ones. I'm talking about Microsoft. I'm talking about Google. And the thing is, the one that's being proposed in Hamilton is actually being proposed by Microsoft. So now, like, you can see how it's all connected. Brookfield Asset Management definitely has some sort of hand in Microsoft, or has an ear over there, tells them we'll do it. Microsoft says, okay, we don't want you to do it because you're the Prime Minister and that's going to look like a huge ethics violation. But don't worry, Microsoft. We have Compass data centers, and they'll build it for you. Do you get the corruption that's going on? Like, how crazy is that? And again, when you dig deeper into it, the most concerning one out of all of them is actually being built in Alberta. Now, why Alberta? The thing is, these places need a lot of cooling systems, and they need natural resources. And the thing is, Alberta's very rich in that. Alberta's rich in fresh water, rich in land mass. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of land that no one's really built on yet, and that's where they're gonna put these things. So, again, people want to say, "Oh, this is all Mark Carney's fault." Like, you guys gotta let it click in your head. It's not going to happen in Alberta if Danielle Smith didn't agree to it. It wouldn't happen in Saskatchewan if Scott Moe didn't agree to it. It wouldn't happen in Ontario if Doug Ford didn't agree to it. Do you see what's going on here? Doug Ford literally cozies up to the most radical lefties ever. Do you see that? And they give you the face of, I'm a conservative and my country first. How about the people in Alberta? Do you not know that Danielle Smith approved a 1 gigawatt? This is not a megawatt we're talking about. A gigawatt. That's 1 billion watts. 1 billion watts. That's sucking up all the energy. And I promise you, not just from a city or a township, from the fucking province. Do you understand that? There are places in America right now near the Rio Grande River that are complaining that there's sections of it drying up completely in order to help run the facility near them. Do you get that? So when I think about Alberta, I think about Banff, I think about Lake Louise, I think about the Trans-Canada Highway going up and then seeing all these beautiful trees and just nature in general. Now you're just gonna plop this fucking 500,000 square foot data center that's collecting everything on every citizen possible. And this is all, again, happening because we're working together. Now, I want the Canadian public to understand, we can stop this if we stop thinking like fucking Goyim. There's no reason for us to be fighting against each other on every single subject when all of us just want a prosperous country. This is going to kill everything around it, regardless of what you believe, regardless of political affiliation. So this isn't a time to start bitching about it, but we really need to unite or we're gonna get rinsed by this fucking crony, man.
Canada just signed a contract with Palantir, the same company that uses real human beings in Gaza to train their AI weapon systems. The same company whose CEO said that they would be in support of pushing for war crimes to be constitutional because it would open up a market for their company. The same company whose CEO said that AI technologies would reduce the power of highly educated, specifically female Democratic voters. The same company whose CEO said that they wanted to get back at analysts who said that Palantir was overvalued by attaching fentanyl-laced urine to drones and spraying them with it. Yes, he really said that. The same company who released a manifesto that some people called the ramblings of a supervillain. No matter how much the Canadian Defense Minister is trying to defend this move, we should not be signing a contract with Palantir. It undermines our security, our privacy, and our safety. You're all tired of emailing your MPs, and I get it, I am too, but please email your MP about this, ask your friends too. This is not good for Canadians.
Right, buckle up. I'm about to show you how these three are all connected and are the end of your ability to criticize Israel, and more specifically, the end of your First Amendment rights. Baked directly into the 2027 spending bill is Section 224, which essentially merges the IDF and the U.S. military. This is significant because it expands our sharing capabilities, but it also then starts to broaden the spectrum of we are now completely coupled together. So critiques against the IDF and Israel is a critique against our own military. Gets worse. On the surface, it might sound a little alarmist to say that Section 224 will cause all of the things I just said, but you have to read Project Esther to see why. This is a Heritage Foundation project. Highly recommend. It's 33 pages. Let's get into it. Per Project Esther, we're currently on necessary condition number 9, which is stripping staff and students of their visas if they speak out against Israel, if they say anything that's pro-Palestine or pro-Lebanon, now that Israel is now bombing Lebanon again. Those will get you your visa removed. It'll go further down, and they're now going to make it so that banks won't allow you to process with them. You'll eventually be criminalized. But moving on. And the glue that makes all of this happen is the IHRA's definition of anti-Semitism. All the states in blue have adopted this at a state level. However, the ones in gray are not free from it. I live in San Diego County, and San Diego County has chosen to adopt that law as well. Per the IHRA's definition of anti-Semitism, denying the Jewish people their right to self-determination, aka saying that it's not their right to declare Israel their homeland, is anti-Semitic. Drawing any sort of comparisons towards what Israel's doing and what the Nazis did is anti-Semitic. So you want to say that Ben-Gvir wearing a noose pin to the hearings on whether or not they can publicly hang Palestinians is Nazi behavior? That's anti-Semitic under the IHRA's definition. It would also be anti-Semitic to say that having a birthday cake with a noose on it celebrating the hanging of Palestinians as a Nazi-esque type move, that would also grant you the title of an anti-Semite for making that comparison under the IHRA's definition of anti-Semitism. Go read the report. It's only 33 pages, but this is exactly the blueprint. First, they get Congress to pass a joint collaboration with our militaries. Second, they bank on protesters showing up to the military facilities that the IDF opens on our own soil. Third, they then use the IHRA's definition of anti-Semitism to then say that these people are anti-Semitic criminals and need to be locked up. And then that keeps spreading because it says, oh my God, there's this crazy web of anti-Semitic lunatics out here. We need more intense laws to get rid of them because now they're attacking our national security because we're now embedded completely with Israel. Do you see the connection? Do you see it?
Can you imagine if you had a bunch of people showing up outside of Auschwitz to protest the existence of that concentration camp, and then you had somebody who showed up with them and started yelling back at the people protesting and saying, whoa, whoa, don't escalate, don't get violent in any way, that's not what we're here for, that's not what we're here to do. What are you there to do? Because that's what happened at the Delaney Hall concentration camp over the weekend when protesters started moving the barricades to try to get them out of the way, and then some white woman started screaming back at them to not do that. I'm not sure what her goal is. I don't know if she thinks that the cops are just going to suddenly have a change of heart and say, oh, you know what? Yeah, let's shut this down. Let's end this concentration camp right here because you guys stood around and asked nicely. I know that there are going to be people going, whoa, why are you comparing an ICE detention facility to Auschwitz? That's not fair. And I want to ask you, at what point does it become that? Because people are dying in ICE custody in those facilities. Those facilities are owned by private prison companies that make money off of detainees. Demands are not being met. The detainees are on a hunger strike due to horrific conditions, medical neglect, medical emergencies, people dying, worms in the food, not enough food, family visitation cut off. None of these people have had a trial. None of these people have been found guilty of anything. So I just want to ask you, at what point, if you're being that way about words, what point is it a concentration camp then? And at what point are we going to be real and call them hostages? Because they're going to die in there, and things can get much worse. And they are as bad as you could imagine already. And then I ask you, at what point are you going to realize that it can't just be abolish ICE, but it has to also extend to the cops? Because the cops only exist to protect capital, to protect property, and to enforce the will of the ruling class. It's time to start thinking beyond what we were fed and start realizing the situation in front of us. And there is no freedom from ICE without addressing the police. No progress has ever come without violence. No historical wins have ever come by asking nicely. And for the last time, Democrats are not on your side. Mikey Sherrill called in the cops on everyone in New Jersey at Delaney Hall. I lived in Minnesota. My family's all in Minnesota. I'm from there. I lived in Minnesota in 2020. I watched as Tim Walz called in the cops, called in the National Guard to occupy Minneapolis. I was there when Jacob Fry called NPD to brutalize everyone in Minneapolis who stood against the murder of George Floyd. The cops are ICE, are HSI, are ERO, are the military, are the KKK, are the Proud Boys, are the Nazis, all enabled by both parties in this country. It's time to start thinking outside of the confines of electoral politics, and it's time to start thinking outside of the confines of the two-party system when you are thinking about electoral politics. You can either get on board and fight for progress, or you can be that white moderate stunting it.
Hi everyone. Leave it to an Arab Muslim to school you on how Israel is actually conveyed in the Bible. But don't worry, this isn't just coming from me. I'm working in close collaboration with Palestinian Christians for Justice, who educated me on all of this information, which can easily be cross-referenced for yourself. This will be particularly eye-opening for all of you Bible misinterpreting Christian Zionists out there, who only drink up the incendiary racist vomit spewed out at you by your Christian Zionist leaders, preachers, and pastors, rather than actually reading what's right in front of you. So channeling my inner Professor Mo, let's begin. The meaning of Israel in the Bible is rich and layered, and very different from how it's often politicized today. And keep in mind, everything I say from here on out is strictly sourced from the Bible, which as a Muslim, I clearly do not follow. So everything I say is strictly from the Bible and not opinions or viewpoints from me. So let's break this down. 1. Israel is a person. Originally, Israel is the new name given to Jacob, the grandson of Abraham. In Genesis 32:28, after wrestling with a divine being, an angel or God himself, Jacob is renamed Israel, which means he who struggles with God, or God contends / God prevails. Meaning, Israel was first referred not to a land, but to a person and his descendants. Genesis 35:10-11 says, God said to him, your name is Jacob, but you will no longer be called Jacob, your name will be Israel. So he named him Israel. 2. Israel as a people. The descendants of Jacob, now Israel, became known as the Israelites, the 12 tribes coming from Jacob's 12 sons. Genesis 49:28 says, these are the 12 tribes of Israel. He blessed each one with a suitable blessing. In the Old Testament, Israel often refers to the collective people of God, those called into a covenant with Yahweh, the Hebrew name of God used in the Bible. 3. Israel as a covenant community, not a political state. Throughout the Bible, Israel represents a spiritual relationship, not a political entity. Being Israel is tied to faithfulness to God, justice, and obedience to the covenant. Exodus 19:5-6 says, if you obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my treasured possession. When the people broke the covenant through injustice, idolatry, and oppression, the prophets like Isaiah, Amos, and Jeremiah warned Israel that identity alone meant nothing without righteousness. 4. The New Testament reaffirms that true Israel is not about ethnicity or land, but about faithfulness to God. Romans 9:6-8 says, not all Israelites truly belong to Israel, but the children of the promise are counted as descendants. And this next part is a critically important point. The modern political state of Israel, founded in 1948, is not the same as the biblical concept of Israel. The Bible's Israel is about a spiritual covenant and struggle toward righteousness, not conquest, colonization, or ethnic supremacy. In summary, based on the Bible, Israel equals Jacob, one who wrestled with God. Also, Israel or Israelites equals the people chosen to live by God's covenant. Also, Israel equals a spiritual identity tied to justice, faithfulness, and righteousness, not nationality or land ownership. Now, barring everything I just went through with you, the people now claiming to be Israelis are not a real people because they are predominantly from Europe, and they have no affiliation with the Israelites of Abraham, which again only had to do with their devotion to God and not a place or region or political ideology. Therefore, the very concept of Israel and Israelis do not exist. Just like Christian Zionism is a supremacist-based religious ideology that is based on nothing. Thank you for attending my lecture, and Allahu Akbar.
You know what I've never understood? During the Holocaust, it was more than just the Jews that died. Or, well, that were being persecuted. They went after disabled people, Romani, the gays. Happy Pride Month, by the way. Homeless people. And now that I'm really thinking about it, it doesn't sound too far off from where we're at in America. Like, these things would qualify you as a domestic radical. And I don't know if y'all have seen, but they're starting to include extreme opposition to AI or data centers. They're trying to categorize homelessness as a mental disability. The facial recognition that ICE uses is what the Israelis use. Alright, I was double checking that because I don't want to mislead anyone. And I couldn't find any direct ties of Israeli facial recognition being used by ICE, but apparently there is a lot of influence. I also found out that the facial recognition for our phones to unlock it and stuff, that came from the Israelis. ICE uses Fortify Mobile. It has access to federal databases with 270 million biometric records. And I don't know if y'all have heard, but they're trying to merge the American and Israeli militaries. The US will also ban you from entering if you've said anything negative about Trump. They've also extended that to include Israel. So if you've said anything negative about Israel or Israelis, you're not allowed back into the US. Sorry, my main point though is that the Holocaust was more than just the Jews. The Jews get reparations, but not the Romani, the gays, the disabled, the homeless people. Black people haven't gotten any reparations. The UN met up so that they could vote on chattel slavery to recognize chattel slavery as the biggest crime against humanity, and the US rejected that, along with 2 other countries. No surprise. And as a result, people think, oh, the Jews are running America. And honestly, it's deeper than that. It's all the different secret societies working together. Like, we're all playing Fortnite solos and they're teaming. And even if you don't believe in the occult or secret societies, you cannot deny that Israel and America both have hardcore imperialist colonial goals. I pointed out Manifest Destiny, the Pilgrims. Oh, we're God's chosen people. He wants us to come here. People will be like, oh, they see us as Goyim. And that's different from how the colonizers dehumanize the indigenous. How? Israel is not controlling the US, it is an extension of it. Also, I am in good health and I love my life. I eat my veggies, I wash my hands after I go to the bathroom, I flush. The only thing I smoke is weed.
A woman in Congo was in her home with her family when 20 armed rebels broke into their home, unalived all 7 of her children and her husband. Then afterwards they cut parts of her body, poured hot boiling water over her open wounds. Then afterwards, they took turns essaying her. All 20 of them. This is not a war story. This is what's happening right now, systematically, to so many women and children in the DRC. The UN and UNICEF have all confirmed that sexual violence is being used as a deliberate weapon of war. And armed groups are responsible for 75% of documented attacks. And the numbers themselves are horrific. Over 35,000 cases of violence against children have been reported in the first 9 months of 2025. And there have been statistics that have shown a 38% increase of sexual violence from the year before. Children are being unalived, abducted. There are infants that are being raped. There are girls who don't even understand what sex is, are now being forced to carry out early pregnancies. Fewer than 2% of the survivors are receiving any support, due to the fact that over half of all the gender-based violence services have been shut down because of lack of funding. If this was another country or another group of individuals, the international community would have already recognized it for what it is.